Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie, and today I want to talk about all things governance. I'm here with Dorcas as well, and she's done a lot of things, so I feel very much this year and season is about governance and power. I really felt that. And then there are the added values now adding to governance and power, but governance is our keyword and power is another keyword, and she represents all things governance. Dorcas,
yes.
Welcome to Just Angie.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
You're such a powerhouse, and you always make you surprise me. You're so welcome. I know that you're doing your second master's, but even the other day you told me that you had done a degree in PR. I was like, what do I do? How come I don't know all these things about Dorcas? So I wanted you to talk about, first I'll introduce all the things that you've done.
Okay.
So you've done an undergraduate in PR and communications.
Yes, I have.
Then you did a master's in global business and sustainability.
Yes.
Such a mouthful. Global business and sustainability.
Yes.
Then now you're doing your second master's
yes.
on societal transformation.
Yes.
So we're expecting a PhD, clearly. When you do two masters, it doesn't qualify for one PhD. Clearly, this education thing. So
it's
just
true.
know we're expecting a PhD. If you're doing your second master's, to a second master's, we are wanting a PhD after that. But because you're all things governance, walk me through that journey and tell me what your governance thoughts are for the season that we are in right now.
Wow. For me, my governance thoughts, first of all, because I draw my inspiration from the Word of God and from God, I have to relate it back to God.
Okay.
Because I think it started there.
Awesome.
And my governance journey is, I see it as God has given me as a responsibility as man, because he created the world. Then he said he has left the earth to sons of men.
To sons of men.
So we are the ones who have been put on this earth to govern it.
Yes.
So we have to take care of it. We have to continue in creation, just the same way our father started.
Yes.
And so for me, that is the journey of governance.
Wow.
And I think that everyone has a responsibility towards contributing something to this great earth that God created.
Awesome.
So to say that's where
So that's where your governance journey started.
Yeah.
So why all these degrees? How did the one degree then to the second master's, the other master's? Why all these things?
Wow.
And how are you going to use them to change the world for Christ?
For Christ, yeah. Actually, if I could take you back, my journey into my undergraduate, I wanted to do a program in law because I wanted to understand just my inspiration was to understand law so that I could represent people who would not be able to represent themselves. But then at the time, my father didn't think that it was a good idea. So he said, you have to find a course that we will both agree on, which was good. So I found a course which I thought that would still contribute to the skills that I needed to advance the course that I had, because I thought mostly the undergraduate program doesn't really affect much of what you really want to do, because it just begins to build you as a person. So in whatever area of program that you do.
And you begin to discover what you want to do. Yeah.
So I found that PR and communications was also a very good skill, which I could use across sector, across anything that I wanted to do.
That's true.
That's why I picked it. So when I was considering doing my master's, I thought, because I want to change the way some of the things that are done around me, then I need to do a course that can enable me to think through how I'm going to influence society around me. And so global business was good because it had the element of sustainability in it, which I believe in very strongly.
Okay.
If I go back to God the Father, if you look at how he created the world, he created it to sustain itself.
That's true.
So everything, it's like a life cycle.
It's like a cycle. It's an eco-cycle. I always say the ecosystem of God and his governance.
And so when I look at it, I'm like, everything God did, he created it in a way that it could sustain itself.
Yes.
So like, for example, a tree, once it's grown, it produces seed, which you then use to again plant another tree. So he doesn't need to come back and create another tree. So whatever we create through the gifts and talents that God has given us, how can we make it sustainable? By ensuring it continues to reproduce itself.
So adding continuity is one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, posterity, what people call posterity as well.
Yes.
And I guess that makes me interested because I'm always interested in generations. What I do now, how do I ensure that it has a positive impact on generations coming forward, and how will they continue those patterns, you know? I'm always reminded every time I talk about generations how they would write the Bible. So the Bible, they'd write it, scribe it, those guys in Chronicles, Ezra and his priests, then it fades, then they write it again. Then I'm also always reminded how they would gather in Jerusalem. You used to wonder why they gather, but they'd gather to teach the traditions to the next generation. So to keep telling that story of when they were delivered out of Egypt, and they keep telling the story so that it continues. But what are some practical, what are you going to take out even right now for a season, or you're doing for global sustainability, business and sustainability as Dorcas?
One of the things, for me, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is helping people to develop strategies that have continuity and sustainability in them. So one of the things that I'm doing currently is helping to develop programs or projects that will have an element of continuity and sustainability. So just helping leaders develop continuity and sustainability in whatever it is that they do. Even in terms, and it's not, you know, it sounds very big, but it's really not. It's even in terms of running a house. Like even if we think about our day-to-day lives, how do you ensure that everything that needs to be done around you continues even as you focus on other things? At work, what are the, how do you get routines going? How do you get structures and systems put in place that will ensure a continuity of what you're doing, so that it's not, you know, stopped by your presence not being there, because things need to run on their own. So even in my role currently, one of the things I'm working towards is ensuring that whatever needs to get done is done in a way that whether Dorcas is there or not, or whether it keeps going. So there's continuity and sustainability in everything that we do. Because then when I look back, that's how God created it. Created the earth to run on its own. So we need to do whatever it is we put our hands to, we need to ensure that they can run on their own.
You know, I've even been saying there's another video I need to do, that when I was reading Genesis, I saw that there was seed, tree and fruit, and it's a cycle. So even you wonder what came first. Because there's the seed, the tree and the fruit. But it's a cycle, because the fruit then has the seed, in which is the tree. It's very intriguing. So, you know, and that's how God created things. So that's amazing. And I was thinking good governance, because when you're saying governance, I thought about modeling. It's the same way, like, you see, Althea says she doesn't want to become like me. But the governance structures that I showed her, some which she was resisting, are the same ones I see her doing. So that's another way. What we're modeling, modeling the right behavior to our children, modeling the right behavior to our congregations, the people that we're hanging out with, people we're leading, whether in a church setup or a secular setup or a marketplace setup. So there is no church and secular, but wherever you are, whatever you're modeling is what people will do. And that's what I even loved about Jesus's model, that he hung around with them, so they saw him. And then he used to say, I do what I see my father doing. So you see, so we are still doing what he was doing and what his father was doing. So putting in good governance structures and systems into everything that we do. Awesome. And your other degree, the Masters on Societal Transformation, why that one also? Although I love it.
Well, the two fit very well together. I think that one for me is key for Africa, because I'm very passionate about Africa. Our continent is, wow, I don't know, we have so much potential, so much undiscovered territory, so many things to explore. We have a blank canvas to draw our own picture.
Don't make me start Wakanda business. Wakanda. We have, yes.
Yeah, so for me, social transformation is, as Africans, how can we take advantage of the resources God has endowed us with and make life better for us and for the people who are coming on after us? So that's just what it is. What is not working right now, what can we do about it, and how can we make it better and leave it better for the people who are coming after, and even the people who are living now. Yeah, we need to do better. We need to do across sector. When you look at health, when you look at logistics and transport, when you look at across all sectors, finance and banking,
provision, because me, I always feel like, gosh, we need to give people provision, we need to give them seed capital. Sometimes when I remember like that fund, remember the fund that had money, the youth fund, some people were not picking it. So I asked why, but then I was told by at least someone that, you know, we can't go pick that money. Then what are we going, how are we going to pay it back, you know? So I always feel like youth funds need to be accompanied with a mentorship program, somebody to walk this journey with me and show me how to do it. You can't just give me money money. Then what do I do with the money? What's the plan? How do I make money? How do I find a market? How do I bring back profitability? The idea, you know, I like giving people startup capital for business, and they've been signing. But then the other day I said, when I asked somebody 2-3 questions, I realized even me, I need you to walk you through.
Yes.
So you need to tell me what you're going to do with this money. You need to sit down and calculate your costs, your expenses, how you're going to pay it back, so that you grow. Yeah. And that is something that's very important. So even stuff like government projects need to go hand in hand with mentorship and coaching and modeling. There's no way. Those 3 things, we have to do them together with whatever we're doing and give people hope. I just want people to have hope. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you said that, I've remembered, I saw a presentation from the Vision 2030, and on one of the slides they had written, we are developing hardware, but we also need to develop the software. And that's the people. Because you find that there are a lot of available resources and tools that people can use to better their lives, but they don't have the know-how of how to go about it. Simple things like, if you want you to come and get funds, how do they access them? How do they know that those funds exist? How can that information reach them? How can it reach that person in Baringo who may not have access to data but needs that information to do something in Baringo, you know? So just being able to disseminate that information, and that's governance. How are we, as like now the leadership, if I have a project on youth fund, how do I ensure that this project benefits the beneficiaries of who need to benefit from the project?
And me, I'm a great person of coming together. Sometimes I feel like if you're alone, you might not be able to do it. But if I bring 5 people, 10 people, 20 people together in a community, then we'll get it done.
We'll be able to get it done.
Right, God. Okay, we're out of time now, but thank you so much. You see, we have so much to talk about governance, so much to do. We'll definitely have you back. So my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. Be a good, I want to say, good governance. Put good governance in place wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And remember, it's never too late to start, and it's never too early to start either. And my name is Angie Murenga. You're on Just Angie. God bless you. Bye-bye.